Let's take a quick look at some of the top stories we're tracking for you. "31 people are killed in a Russian missile strike on the northern Ukrainian city of Sumy, according to the acting mayor. Details remain scarce as authorities assess the damage from one of the deadliest attacks in recent weeks. Amidst fears of price hikes, US President Donald Trump's administration has excluded smartphones and several electronic devices from reciprocal tariffs, including the 125% duties on Chinese imports. It's the first major relief granted under Trump's China tariff regime. Iran and the United States conclude a first round of talks in Oman over Tehran's nuclear program. This is the highest level meeting the two nations have had since 2018. The Kremlin says instant results can't be expected after Trump demands progress on Ukraine, despite saying everything is going very well. This comes after Trump claims talks may be okay, but tells Russia to get moving, as envoy Witkoff meets Putin amidst multi-level contacts. Israel says that it plans to expand its military offensive in Gaza after seizing a new corridor. As part of a broader military effort, it told tens of thousands of residents in the southern Palestinian territory to evacuate. Germany's next Chancellor Friedrich Merz backs away from pledges to cut taxes and raise wages, sparking public outcry. With his poll numbers falling, Merz risks losing support as he struggles to keep the far-right AfD out of power. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni will host US Vice President J.D. Vance in Rome on the 18th of April, a day after she visits US President Donald Trump in Washington, her office said on Sunday. Pope Francis greets crowds from his wheelchair in St. Peter's Square as he recovers from double pneumonia. He wishes a happy Palm Sunday and speaks briefly with faithful, including a group of joyful nuns. According to Sumy's emergency service, 31 people have been killed, including 2 children, and another 84 people have been injured, including 10 children, after a Russia missile strike in the region. People had been gathered in the heart of the city at around 10:30 a.m. local time to celebrate Palm Sunday. Meanwhile, over in eastern Ukraine, Russia has claimed it has captured a village which sits in the Donetsk region. French President Emmanuel Macron has commented on the strike on Sumy and called it a blatant disregard for human lives. He's also called for strong measures to impose a ceasefire on Russia. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has issued his condolences to the families and loved ones of those killed. He said in a statement that it is very important for everyone in the world not to remain silent and not to remain indifferent. He also stated that Russian missiles hit an ordinary street on a city street on a day when people go to church, and that preliminary data showed that there were dozens of dead and wounded civilians. This comes after Ukraine's air defense units intercepted and destroyed 43 drones of the 55 launched by Russia overnight, targeting northern, southern and central areas of Ukraine. A Russian guided bomb also hit a house in the northeastern Ukrainian town of Kupiansk, injuring 4 people and possibly trapping 3 more under rubble. Governor Ole Sinebov later added that as a result of the shelling, an unexploded device was found in the yard. Well, meanwhile, Donald Trump has said that talks to end the Russia-Ukraine war might be going okay and that everyone will find out pretty soon. Trump made the comment to reporters a day after he showed frustration with Russia and told it to get moving on reaching a deal. Moreover, in Turkey yesterday, Russia and Ukraine's top diplomats have accused each other of violating a tentative US brokered deal to pause strikes on energy infrastructure, a day after US envoy Steve Witkoff met with Vladimir Putin to discuss peace prospects. Russia Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has accused Ukraine of attacking Russia from the very beginning, adding that Moscow would provide the US, Turkey and international bodies with a list of Kyiv's attacks during the past 3 weeks. Lavrov has also insisted Russia had stuck to the terms of the deal, while his Ukrainian counterpart Andrei Sybiha fiercely contested that claim, saying Russia had launched almost 70 missiles, over 2,200 drones and over 6,000 guided aerial bombs at Ukraine since agreeing to the limited pause on strikes. Sybiha has also stated that it clearly shows who wants peace and who wants war. Dr. Sergei Dvoryanov, president of IDC Russia and director WHT International Board, is joining us live from Moscow, Russia. Dr. Dvoryanov, thank you for being with us today. What do you make of these strikes continuing even on Palm Sunday, as the conflict, of course, doesn't show any signs of dissipation?
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to discussion. Of course, this is a terrible time we experience right now, and our national leader Vladimir Putin always announced our principal position regarding peacemaking dialogue with Ukraine, and we always follow to agreements, international agreements, which was done between countries. And especially with the support of United States of America and the leading role of Donald Trump, President of the United States. Right now we can see the future for Ukraine nation can be very favorable, because Mr. Zelensky, ex-president of Ukraine, is not responsible to take care about his nation. And of course, according to the agreement, we stopped to attack energy centers of Ukraine, and that is the main points which we follow. And what we can regarding other activity of our army, of course, all Russian population, territory and land, which already choice to be rejoined to Russia, they should be free from the Ukrainian expansion. That's why our mission we should complete our mission to join these regions back to Russia. That is a main, we can tell, aim and main goal of our with Ukraine, which was created artificially by Western Alliance.
Also now, as far as, of course, the efforts on mediation are concerned, they've hit a roadblock with both sides, Russia and Ukraine, accusing each other of violating the ceasefire on energy assets. Where do you see talks headed between the two countries, even as, interestingly, Donald Trump's envoy spoke once again with the Russians on his visit to Moscow?
Yes, we can see that even personal similarity in personal relationship between two our leaders, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, even during his previous presidency in was exist. That's why right now we can see that both our leaders, they belong to traditional agenda. We have global agenda, like a globalistic agenda, we can tell, which is a completely extremely liberal. But Donald Trump, because he changed Joe Biden with his liberal and global agenda right now, he wants to traditional world and traditional values as well. That's why this similarity between our leaders, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, can give to us big hope that we can not only negotiate with peace, we can really change the world with the new principles of the justice between all countries, which is equality. And of course, we should increase some spiritual education in among all the politicians. I think future, I can feel this good relationship between Russia and America can give to us hope to coming to the golden age of humanity. And it was predicted by famous prophet from America, Edgar Cayce. He predicted, and I am completely sure that, of course, right now, even Europe in more deep conflict with our civilization than America. Why? Because all European countries, they belong to this globalistic liberal agenda. But
right.
Donald Trump, he completely changed the game.
Dr. Dwaryanov, thank you very much for joining us on NewsX World with your perspective. Let's move on now. A recent Israeli strike has destroyed part of Al Ahli Baptist Hospital, the last fully functional hospital in Gaza City. Witnesses said the strike destroyed the intensive care and surgery departments of the hospital. Huge flames and smoke were seen at the site after the missile hit the two-story building. People, including many patients, still admitted were seen rushing out of the stricken building. The Israel Defense Forces said the strikes were targeted to contain the command and control center used by Hamas. The Gazan Civil Emergency Service reported no casualties. However, according to a statement from the Episcopal Diocese of Jerusalem, which is affiliated to the hospital, an injured child was said to have lost his life as a result of the rushed evacuation process. Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry said the building was completely destroyed, leading to the forced displacement of patients and hospital staff. In response, the IDF said it had taken steps to mitigate harm to civilians or to the hospital compound, including issuing advanced warnings in the area of the terror infrastructure, the use of precise munitions, and aerial surveillance. Meanwhile, Hamas has released a video purportedly of an Israeli American hostage, Eden Alexandrin, who had been held by Hamas for 551 days. He's seen criticizing Netanyahu-led government as he pleads for his release. Recently, Israel has captured several key corridors, including the Morak corridor. The crisis in Gaza continues, though, to worsen, leading to rising tensions in the region. Joining us now live is Yossi Kuperwasser, Israeli intelligence and security expert. Joining us live from Tel Aviv in Israel. Thank you very much for speaking with us today. What do you make of this latest video that has been released of an Israeli-American hostage reportedly and his plea?
Well, thank you for having me. And what I think is that what we're witnessing is the ongoing psychological warfare by Hamas, trying to put pressure on Israel and to get the best deal that they can get in return for releasing this hostage and several others. That's what they're doing because they're under a lot of pressure. Israel intensifies the blows it inflicts over Hamas in the last couple of days, and they are suffering, and that's why they need to ease the pressure by showing this video clip of the hostage.
Okay. Meanwhile, what we're learning, Mr. Kuperwasser, is that Israel has intensified strikes. They've retaken various strategic corridors as well. What do you make of their strategy and their offensive going ahead?
Well, what we're trying to do is to achieve two things simultaneously. First of all, to put pressure on Hamas in order to convince Hamas to accept a hostage deal that is going to be within our readiness to move forward. What they want is to make a deal that would guarantee that they would stay in power, and we are saying we are ready to have a deal, but not one that would guarantee that Hamas, that is responsible for the 7th of October attacks and wants to carry out more attacks like that, will stay in power and keep its armament in its disposal. This is not unacceptable for us, so we put a lot of pressure in order to make it possible for both sides to reach a hostage deal that is acceptable. And at the same time, we are weakening Hamas so that if we do not manage to reach such a deal, we shall have to keep weakening Hamas, maybe even up to the point where we shall have to remove it from power in Gaza altogether. So we are working on those two ends simultaneously, and we'll see if we manage to reach an agreement, wonderful. If not, we shall keep on the pressure on Hamas until its demise.
But where do you see then, the efforts on mediation going forward? Obviously, there have been talks in that direction, which have been hosted by, countries in the Middle East. Do you see any deal in the offing between, Israel and Hamas? And also, what do you believe the middle ground that will be achieved will be?
Well, the prospects for a deal are growing every day, and we heard President Trump giving publicity to the progress that was done in those negotiations about the deal. But until you reach a deal, you don't reach a deal. So we have to wait and see whether it's going to be successful. What we're talking about right now is extending the deal that we had in the past so that more hostages were going to be released, and including live hostages, something like between 8 and 10 out of the 24 that are still alive in the hands of Hamas, and some 16 out of the 35 bodies that Hamas holds are going to be released as well. This is what we are talking about right now, in exchange for something like between 40 to 50 days of ceasefire. That's what is being discussed right now. I hope it's going to be possible to reach such a deal, because every day that goes by when the hostages are still in the captivity of Hamas is terrible. This is something that has to be put to an end.
Mr. Kupawasa, do you see more hostages being released before that deal materializes, as a sort of gesture by Hamas, or do you believe it suits their benefit as well to keep the hostages continuously in their custody and continue this psychological warfare, as you were saying, by releasing statements like we've seen today?
Well, it's possible that they would release here and there one hostage like Idan Alexander, because there is a lot of pressure on them in regard to this specific hostage, because he holds an American citizenship. But generally speaking, I'd say that we need to reach an agreement about the hostages, and we cannot just hope for one or two hostages to be released. We want to see as many hostages released as possible.
All right. Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Kupawasa, with your perspective on that big story. Tahavur Hussain Rana, the prime accused in the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks, is undergoing his third straight day of interrogation. The National Investigation Agency is questioning the Chicago-based Pakistan-born businessman for crucial details of the planning and execution of the attacks that shook India. Rana is alleged to have aided the Pakistan-backed terror group Lashkar-e-Taiba alongside his associate David Coleman Headley. On 26 November 2008, 10 terrorists had infiltrated Mumbai by sea, launching a 4-day siege that killed 166 people and injured hundreds, marking one of the worst terror strikes in India. Officials say Rana remains uncooperative during questioning. The NI has now sent fresh voice samples of Rana for forensic testing to match with intercepted 2008 calls and determine if he gave instructions during the attack. Inside his cell, Rana has requested a Quran and prays 5 times daily. He's also asked for a pen and paper and remains under tight surveillance. Investigators believe Rana may hold key information not just about 26/11, but also an alleged Lashkar plot to assassinate then Gujarat Chief Minister, now Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Rana reportedly joined Lashkar around 2005, a period coinciding with Headley's discussions on a planned operation involving Ishrat Jahan, allegedly tied to a 2006 assassination bid against Modi. The Sunday Guardian had reported these details in an exclusive based on reports from India's National Investigation Agency, interrogation notes by the FBI, and an Intelligence Bureau file. Could Rana's questioning then shed light on his involvement in other potential terror plots or assassination bids on Indian soils? Joining us now is Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian. He's joining us live from Trivandrum in India. Appreciate you being live with us today, Madhav Nalapat on NewsX World. Do you believe that, as the Sunday Guardian has reported, the role of the Lashkar-e-Taiba in this assassination plot on the then Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi, Tahavur Rana's interrogation could perhaps shed more light on the same now that he is in the NI's custody in India?
Uday, let me tell you that Chief Minister Modi, he was a subject of so much of abuse, so much of trolling, not just in India, but even more in Pakistan. The effort was to paint him in the most horrible color, when in fact he was running Gujarat very well, and barring that initial incident where he was not yet completely in the saddle, and where frankly it's not only him but the central government also that bears some responsibility. The fact is that because of the fact that he was wildly popular as Chief Minister of Gujarat, the fear was that he would someday come and take over as the Prime Minister of India. And of course, that is something which frankly some of us have felt and even written about from around the end of 2011 onwards, that Prime Minister Modi is likely to be the next Prime Minister of India and lead the BJP to victory. So the point is, that was the justification, frankly, for attempting his assassination. I have no doubt this story is correct, and I hope that Mr. Rana will have the good sense to confess everything, because that's the only way he will, frankly, be able to, first of all, do justice to all the victims that he has done. This will be part justice, but very importantly, it is very important that Mr. Rana speak the truth. And I firmly believe it is the truth that there was an assassination plot against Prime Minister Modi for a simple reason. Just check the trolling during that period. Just check the hate speeches during that period. Just check all the statements made in not only India, but in Pakistan especially. And then you will know from the atmosphere in Pakistan, the toxic atmosphere, I mean, why it is very, very, very not just likely, but certain that there was a plot to assassinate Chief Minister Modi before the general election and before he could take over as the Prime Minister, because he was clearly on an upward path politically, and the BJP was more and more elements were turning to his leadership, and that began from around 26/11 attack onwards. And I would say, therefore, the justification was precisely that. I mean, we are talking about the, I remember the LTTE.
Yes.
The justification for killing Rajiv Gandhi was that he thought that he would be the next Prime Minister of India.
Right.
They thought he would be in an upward trajectory and be the next Prime Minister. And he's the person who sent the IPKF. So they assassinated him. The same way Thakur Rana sought to assassinate Prime Minister Modi, but frankly, in this case, they did not succeed. And now Prime Minister Modi is there with us, and hopefully he'll be there for
absolutely.
Term,
Professor Nalapat, also we do believe sources tell us that so far Thakur Rana is cooperating. What do you believe the line of questioning of the NI so far is? It's the third day of his grilling today. Possibly even local, individuals' role in 26/11 also likely to be asked by the NI to him. We do know, of course, about the Pakistani conspirators, but what about those within India who helped and aided? Could Rana spill the beans on that too?
Uday, there's absolutely no doubt that there was a local help. There's no doubt about it. In fact, frankly, UPI.com, I did mention this fact that there was almost an inside job, quite frankly, and a lot of local help was there. Unfortunately, the government of the day did not pursue the leads sufficiently vigorously, and as a consequence, many of the co-conspirators escaped. I hope some of them, at least those of them who are still with us, some of them will be identified thanks to Rana's deposition and brought to justice finally, because what they did was a heinous crime against the 1.4 billion people of India today.
Madhav Nalapat, appreciate you joining us with your perspective on this big story. Well, on that note, that's all the time we have on this particular edition of World Report on NewsX World. Stay tuned for more updates.